In Romans chapter 3, verse 4, the Apostle Paul says, "May God be found to be true, though every man be found to be a liar." Nowhere is that more evident than in the story of Jacob as a young man. There is deceit in every chapter of his story. But no matter what Jacob or anyone else does, God remains absolutely true to his word. Today's reading begins in Genesis chapter 28, where Jacob is getting ready to leave his father's house. Isaac had told him that he should go and spend some time at the home of his uncle Laban in order to get away from his brother Esau, who wanted to kill Jacob because he had deceived Isaac and stolen the fatherly blessing that was set aside for Esau. And as he's going, Isaac makes it clear now to Jacob that the covenant blessings of Abraham would be passed on to Jacob and to his descendants. And as Jacob's on his way, he stops somewhere to sleep for the night. And as he's sleeping, he has a dream. And in the dream, there's a ladder that's going from the ground all the way up to heaven. And there are angels going up and down the ladder. And the Lord stood at the top of the ladder, and he repeats to Jacob the same covenant promises that he had given his grandfather Abraham and his father Isaac. He says, "I am the God of Abraham and the God of Isaac. I will give this land that you are on to you and to your descendants. I'll multiply you. I will make you a great nation, and in you all the families of the earth will be blessed." And then he makes a big promise to Jacob. He says, "I am with you, and I will keep you wherever you go, and I will not leave you until I have fulfilled what I've promised." When Jacob woke up and he said to himself, "Wow, the presence of the Lord was here, and I had no idea he was around." Well, see, people in that day tended to believe in local gods, who were gods within their territories. So the idea of a God who goes with you wherever you go would have been a strange idea to Jacob. So Jacob says at the end of chapter 28, "Lord, if you really will be with me, if you really will be faithful to bring me back to this land safely, then you will be my God." So Jacob arrives at the home of his uncle Laban, and immediately he falls in love with Laban's daughter, Rachel. And he agrees to work for Laban for 7 years so that he would give Rachel to him as his wife. But on the day of the wedding, Laban deceives Jacob, and he gives him his daughter Leah instead, because she was the firstborn, and he said it's the custom that we give the firstborn in marriage before the next one. Well, Jacob wasn't happy about it, but he loved Rachel, so he agreed to work for another 7 years so that he could take her for his wife as well. Well, over time, Jacob's wives and their maids gave Jacob 12 sons, who would become the 12 tribes of Israel. Eventually, Jacob tells Laban, "It's time for me to go back home." But Laban didn't want him to go. Laban says, "The Lord has blessed me because you're here with me. So stay and work some more, and you can name your wages. I'll give you whatever you ask." Well, all Jacob asked was that he would allow him to keep all of the spotted and speckled lambs and goats that were born under his care. Well, immediately, Laban takes away all of the spotted and speckled ones, so that it became very unlikely that any of those under Jacob's care would produce that kind of offspring. Well, then Jacob schemed in order to get his flocks to mate with the spotted and speckled ones, and it worked. But it only worked because God, in his mercy and his faithfulness, made it work in order to fulfill his promises to Jacob that he would bless him. And as if there wasn't already enough deceit going around, Jacob gathers his family and all of his possessions and secretly leaves without even telling Laban. And then Rachel steals the household idols from inside Laban's home. Laban wasn't happy about that, so he gets the men and starts to pursue Jacob. But God appeared to Laban in a dream and told him not to hurt Jacob or even to say anything bad to him. Remember, God had promised Jacob that he would be with him wherever he went. So look at all the deceit. Jacob deceives Isaac and Esau. Laban deceives Jacob. Jacob and Rachel deceive Laban. In this story, every man and every woman is found to be a liar. But as always, God remains absolutely true. Jacob almost never kept his word to anyone, but God never failed to keep his word to Jacob. And he is the same faithful and true God today. May God be found to be true, even though every man is found to be a liar.